Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again. It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions. From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
This is the Inside the Sox podcast, and now here's your host, Kevin Baver.
What's going on, everyone, and happy holidays. Inside the Sox, another episode. Awesome. Glad to be here. Before we get into business, I just want to say Merry Christmas. I want to say Happy Holidays. Rob, tell us a little bit. How were your holidays? Was it relaxing? Did you get everything that you hoped for?
Well, my holidays are great. Got to spend it with family. There's no better time during this time of year than
Absolutely.
spend time with family. I did get some new headphones, so if you guys hear a new audio quality, I hope it's good for the listener. Obviously, it was good for me, I hope. But yeah, I had a good time with family. Got obviously some new chains, some new style, just a little bit. And
Yeah, just a little bit. It's a little bit. It was.
That's the best part about Christmas, minus the family time, the gifts, and getting to give gifts too. I love giving gifts to people, but especially receiving gifts, and especially because it's wholesome a lot of the times getting gifts. Like, as long as it's well thought out, fine by me. Comes from the heart.
I'm completely okay with it. And Christmas in our house is always kind of hectic, having a child, because you're so stressed out about getting like the kids, the nieces, the nephews, the cousins, the this and the that. And it's all this like anxiety that like builds up. And then when you see, like, my wife and I, when we see our daughter open our gifts and it's like Santa came and all that and excitement and stuff, like, it just makes it all worth it. Like when Christmas to me is like, I'm on cloud nine the entire day, just because it's just like you said, I get to spend time with my family. It's so wholesome. It's so, innocent when it comes to our daughter and obviously my nieces and nephews. It's just a great time. It's just a great time.
Always a good time.
And I know Justin had a great holiday. I do know Justin had a great holiday. I know that for a fact because we all spoke about that. So let's talk about the gift giving. When it comes to our beloved Red Sox, Corey Kluber signed, free agent, starting pitcher, has been linked for. Rob, how long has it been now?
About 2 off seasons. Going on
two off seasons, and it's funny, going on 3 off seasons. In both off seasons, he signed with division rivals, right? Like, that's like kind of just, to me, it's just kind of like a little funny, side fact. Here's the thing with Kluber, and I don't want to sound like I'm being just like, I'm bored at this point, right? Like, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like I have any malice towards whatever. And we do a lot of front office ripping on this show. Not always, but we do give them their roses when they do it. Corey Kluber, to me, is exactly what it is, right, Rob? Like, this this signing, you know what you're going to get if Kluber stays healthy, right? Like, the guy is an innings eating machine. Now, if you told me that we had this rotation back in, like, what was it, 2016, 17, when like Sale and Kluber finished 1-2 for the Cy Young, I would be ecstatic, right? But we are now going on 6 years removed, and we just have such a starting rotation of question marks. So let's talk about Kluber. Let's see if we can get some numbers on him.
Corey Kluber, I really like him. I honestly, he's been one of my favorite pitchers growing up. Obviously, seeing him in 2016 and 2015 winning a couple Cy Youngs with the Cleveland, at the time, Indians, now the Guardians. But he was an amazing pitcher back then. Obviously, same with Chris Sale. Like you said, if this was 2015, having guys like Sale, Paxton, and obviously Kluber, we would have the best rotation in baseball. But this is 2023 we're talking about. Obviously, Kluber went 10-10 with a 4.34 ERA. I had a hot take the other day on my TikTok. Obviously, I don't know. Obviously, whoever comes from my TikTok to listen to this, thank you so much. I just want to say that for supporting this, and supporting us. But obviously, I said I would prefer Nate Eovaldi personally, just because he's proven himself in the playoffs. Obviously, thank you, Nate, for everything you have done. We love you in Boston. You're forever a Red Sox legend. But I do like Corey Kluber. I think he is obviously Nate Eovaldi was kind of on the decline, so I guess seeing Corey Kluber come in here, a guy who could pitch a lot of innings, would be great for our rotation. And you never know if he's healthy and Chris Sale is healthy, and they actually pitch really good, and they show their age doesn't show. This could be a real sneaky good pickup for the Red Sox, and they still have a year of a team option if they like what he did. Pick him back up for another year.
I like the team option. I really do. I'm glad you said that. And I think we saw it a little bit with Michael Waka last year with these guys who are a little bit older that can rejuvenate their careers. And I really hope that's what we get out of Chris Sale. That's what we get out of Paxton. That's what we get out of Corey Kluber. Like, I really do believe that if these guys can stay healthy, eat innings, be efficient, quality starts, all those things that we want, we're sneakingly like, I don't even know if that's a word, but we're like, Heim's kind of putting together a team. We talked about it a little bit last episode with the Justin Turner signing, and I read a graph the other day, and one more thing on Kluber. If he can come in and if he can eat the innings that he's supposed to do, and I need to give Nate his proper send off. I really do. I need to give Nate Eovaldi his roses. His relief outing in the 2018 World Series against the Dodgers will go down as one of the greatest. I mean, I've seen a lot of great pitching performances, but to come in that position in relief in a tie ball game, it was unbelievable, dude. Like, I know we wound up losing that game, and I get that, but it was so gutsy, so ballsy, so much grit, no emotion. Like, he was just, I'm going to go out here, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to try to win this ball game. And then the next day, I remember reading, like, he was like, I'm available. Like, I'm available to
After
pitch,
9 innings,
right?
he was good to go.
After 9 innings, he was like, yeah, I'm good to go. But my issue with Nate, and just like anybody, like you said, Rob, with the starting rotation, do you want Nate Eovaldi? Do you want Corey Kluber? Right? I don't know. This is what I do know. Corey Kluber, if he does return to, even half of as good as he was, he's going to be a really decent pitcher. Like, even if he's half of what he could potentially be, is still probably like a middle, maybe top end guy in this rotation as it stacks up right now, unfortunately. With Nate Eovaldi, we saw his velocity drop tremendously last year. And what that leads, and a couple stints on the IL, and what that leads to me is we already have so many question marks. So I think when it came down to Nate, or it came down to Kluber, I think Heim really just sat back and goes, "Who's going to stay healthy?" Right? Like, I want, you got to think that Red Sox front office wanted Eovaldi back, right? Like, you have to think in the bottom of your hearts they were hoping, but they also saw more of Nate Eovaldi than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you got to think that if anybody has the information on Nate and whatever digression that he may be having, you would hope it's the scouting, it's the analytics, it's the front office, it's the management on Nate Eovaldi. So, Nate, we love you. You will forever be a Boston Red Sox legend. Thank you for the World Series in 2018 and everything that you've done for us since then. And go be healthy. Go to Texas and be healthy and pitch well. Let's talk about this rotation a little bit. Okay, what does this rotation look like? Okay, Rob, give me your, if tomorrow was opening day, what is the starting five? What does that look like?
For the starting five, I think for opening day, especially for the Red Sox, I think the big five would obviously have to be if healthy. Chris Sale's got to be your ace, obviously. I mean, no more Nate Eovaldi, obviously. He was the
Yeah.
starting pitcher. He was the opening day starter back-to-back years for the Red Sox. Obviously, he's gone now in Texas, but Chris Sale would be your ace if he's healthy. A two of Kluber, a three possibly of Nick Pivetta, a 4 of James Paxton, because I don't know if James Paxton will be ready by opening day, but if he is, he'd be there. And then your 5 is probably Bayo. And then obviously there's guys that are on the outskirts like Tanner Houck, Garrett Whitlock. They're talking about making a starter.
Yeah.
I prefer him in the bullpen, but there's him. There's a lot of different guys too that could be like long relievers too that could slide into that 5 spot, or the Red Sox could make a move and do like a 4-man rotation, or they could do a 5-man rotation and have like an opener as the 5th starter and run through the bullpen, because now the bullpen's actually really good. So it's just a lot of options that you can go with. But I feel like this is like the pitching definitely got a step up, got a lot of depth now. And I feel like even still, the Red Sox now could work the trade market for a starting pitcher. Obviously, with Kluber being the last domino of like decent starting pitchers on there, I wouldn't want them to sign like a Johnny Cueto or anybody like that. I would prefer them to like go out and make a trade for a starter, like a Pablo Lopez from the Marlins. Now that the Marlins got Gene Segura, a guy who we talked about playing second base possibly for the Red Sox. Does that mean that now that Segura's there with Martin Prado, do they trade for Martin Prado? There's rumors going around there. Jazz Chisholm, there's options. But for the pitching rotation, I think those will be the top 5 starters right now, at least in my eyes, at least until the Red Sox show that they make a trade, or if nothing happens, that I think that's a solidified 5.
I think if I was throwing out the card, right, if I was doing the roster in the opening day, I'm with you, Chris Sale 1. I'm with you, Kluber 2. This is where I'm going to differ. I'm going to go Whitlock at 3, Paxton 4, Bello 5. And the reason why is I believe at this point in his career, Nick Pivetta is going to be way more beneficial out of the bullpen. We know that Whitlock is very good out of the bullpen, right? We know that, but we kind of have enough arms in the bullpen right now where it's like, where do you put them, right? Like if Whitlock is going to be utilized in the best way possible with this pitching roster, I think it's in the starting rotation because of the moves that they went out and made to solidify this bullpen. He's not going to be a setup guy. He's not going to be a closer. Is he going to be, a 6th inning guy? Is he going to be a 5th inning guy? Is he going to be some sort of long relief guy? Do the Red Sox go with a 6-man rotation? Do the Red Sox now, who have Tanner Houck and Pivetta, do one of them get traded? That's the other thing, right? Like you just rattled off a few trades. Jazz Chisholm was one of the things that popped into my mind because of what the Marlins have done. Pivetta trade value, almost nothing, right? I mean, let's be honest, almost nothing. Tanner Houck, much more value. But Hawk stuff could be nasty, and we could probably use them in the rotation. Here's the other thing. This is all contingent on if everybody stays healthy. So having enough arms on this team is not a bad thing. It's not, right? Like it can't be, Rob. Look at what we did last year. Look at what we did last year. It was brutal. I mean, we had Seabold going out there. We had Cutter Crawford going out there. We had, Winjakowski going out there. I mean, we had these guys that just – Cutter Crawford looked all right, but Seabold looked absolutely lost on the mound. Bello, who came up before, we were really anticipating him coming up, came up and at the end of the year pitched great. So I'm excited for a full year of Bello. I really am. But as far as this starting, I don't know what they're going to do with all these arms. I don't know if they're going to work some sort of trade. If there is a trade, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to say Tanner goes before Nick, before Pivetta, only because of value alone. Only unless they just want to dump Pivetta. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like Nick Pivetta, I still see a little bit of potential in him. I mean, we've seen what he did in the playoffs in 2021.
Yeah.
There could still be a little bit of hope in there. I feel like if he's shaky, because we've seen like in 2022, there was a time like in the beginning of the year where he was dealing and then he went and slammed. Then he started dealing good and then he got hit again. He's got to be more consistent. If he can stay consistent, he'd be really good. I think that Tanner Houck is obviously the guy that you would trade, obviously, in a trade package.
Yeah.
Because he's younger, he has a lot of good stuff. As much as I would like to see Tanner Houck stay with the Red Sox, I think you can get a lot out of him. I feel like there's still a lot of players that the Red Sox can move around. You could get guys, especially with Tanner Houck and some young guys like Nick York and guys that you could trade. Not like your big name prospects. You don't want to trade a guys like Blaze Jordan or Marcelo Meyer because they're the future of the Red Sox. I wouldn't say, because I hate saying this, but the future is like if Rafael Devers walks, if Devers decides to walk, then later down the line, Blaze Jordan, would be your third baseman. Marcelo Meyer could slot there, but you don't want to trade those guys yet. You want to keep them there. Same thing with Bale. You want to keep those guys there. Bale has also
Yep.
been training with Pedro, so I'm hoping for a good year from him.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, those are guys that obviously you want to keep out the trades, but obviously guys like Tanner Houck who have major league experience, Nick York guys who, or even Fitzy. I love Fitzy. Had a talked to him a little bit on TikTok comedy. I said the opening day starting shortstop as a joke, obviously, because we don't know who the shortstop is, but I think
Of
we know it's
course.
Trevor Story. But
Yeah.
obviously he could be part of a package too, even with like a team like the Pirates or like the Marlins, guys who need major league talent, obviously. But I feel like when it comes down to like making trades, Tanner Houck's got to be that guy who would be included because you could get a lot more value out of him than you do Nick Pivetta.
Absolutely. I think value when it comes to trade is everything. And Justin just said, I don't understand why everybody's writing this team off. We are a shortstop and a Rafi extension away from a W off season. I would rock with this team. Then in the 2022 game, 162 Red Sox.
Absolutely.
I'm with you, Justin. Absolutely, 100%. And that leads me to this next thing. I saw a graphic, and I wish I could give the credit to who it was. It was on Twitter. I'm not sure who posted it. I should have marked it down so I can give the proper credit where credit is due. It was 2021 FWAR, 2022, and projected FWAR for 2023. And basically the roster was broken down into red, right, meaning low WAR, right? Yellow meaning, pretty much just middle of the pack, and then green basically playing above their potential, right? And the 2023 team, I mean, it was a majority of green. Like it was a majority. It's so weird because as much as we and Red Sox Twitter in general, Red Sox Nation in general, Red Sox whatever the social media you follow the team on and the fans on, a lot of them are giving the front office a lot of heat. We have. I mean, we've started this podcast at the beginning of the off season. It's not going to be an episode unless I bash Sam Kennedy, ultimate yes man. Stop lying to us. Tell what's going on. Just go away, dude. Just go away. But anyways, I digress. I want to know who steps up for this team. Okay, we no longer have Eovaldi, right? We no longer have Xander Bogaerts. We no longer have JD Martinez. We no longer have Christian Vasquez. Who is going to be the guy in this? We have like this like makeshift lineup in rotation and bullpen of just, I'm not going to say misfits, you know what I mean? But it's just
More like
like
outsiders.
it's very like 2013.
13. I was about to say that in my mind. It just feels weird. Like a lot of older guys coming in. We seen in 2013,
Yes.
Johnny Gomes, Mike Napoli, guys who are outsiders, never played for the Red Sox
Yep.
organization, kind of like old veterans, and that seems like what Chaim Bloom is doing. And it's kind of eerie that it's a 10-year anniversary of the 2013 team this year.
I know.
But it's just kind of, I don't want to say we're winning the World Series because
Don't quote me on that.
As much as I would love to see this team go to the World Series, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But it's really giving me a 2013 vibe.
It's giving me a 2013 vibe, dude. 100%. It's giving me a 2013 vibe, and the weird part is that as Justin said it, we're a Devers extension away. I'm not even going to say shortstop. We're going to figure out shortstop, whether it's going to be Kike, whether it's going to be Arroyo, whether it's going to be Story, whether it's going to be like a committee. You know what I mean? Just with the infield. Me personally at shortstop and at second base, and you need some sort of consistency, but they're going to figure it out, right? They have plenty of young guys that they can also fill in those positions. So we're really a Rafi extension away from this offseason being like, you know what? We lost Xander Bogaerts. That broke our hearts, but hate to say it, we're kind of better. Like we're kind of better. We're just a little bit better than we were last year. Which I kind of want to segue into this idea that I kind of I've been spitballing, right? So if the roster is projected to be better, Jazz at short, yeah. So Jazz Chisholm. Let's talk about this for a second. Sorry, Justin. Josh Chisholm at short. Segura, right, went to the Marlins, which to me made absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think that the Marlins are going to be willing to what they have. They have now 3 or 4 middle infielders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carrying on their 40 man, I believe. What's the game plan? You would have to think that someone's going to be moved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jazz Chisholm would just be an absolute menace at Fenway Park, dude. He's just, you know what it is? You have to have a certain type of personality and you have to have a certain type of swagger to you when you're playing in Boston and when you're playing in front of the Fenway faithful and all those things. And Jazz, he marks those boxes, dude. Jazz, can we pull up on some numbers on Jazz, Justin?
I could see Jazz Chisholm also being the guy that the Red Sox trade a little bit, or trade for, just because Jazz Chisholm has been like also linked by the Marlins. He's been benched before for comments and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think he's an amazing baseball player. I think he's a great option that the could be on the trade market. I mean, he's young and he has a little bit of club control, and you could work on an extension with him. And I think, like you said, his swing's built for Fenway Park. He has a good left-handed swing. And I mean, you could put him at shortstop, have Trevor Story at second base, and it'll just work out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. I think I think we're going to have to continue to explore the trade market. I don't think the offseason is done with the Kluber signing. I think there's probably 1 or 2 moves that we're probably going to see. Um, Kluber, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we're going to go through another 40-man spot, right? Like,
Mhm.
is Bobby Dahlback going to survive his what now third or fourth?
I think
No,
it's
this is
time for
dude, this
Ryan Brazier to go
dude.
bye bye.
Oh my
Not
God,
gonna
dude.
lie.
Think about this, dude, for a second. And I'm just busting balls, but like think about this for a second. Bobby Dahlback, Brian Brazier has to be gone, right? Because we have to clear one spot for Justin Turner, right? We haven't done that yet, and then we're gonna have to sign make another spot, available for Kluber, once
Mhm.
he's official. Dude, if Bobby Dahlback makes it through the gauntlet of 4 40-man roster moves, my hat's off to him, dude. My hat's off to
Bobby
him.
Dahlbeck in July is the greatest baseball player of all
Dude,
time.
I say it all the time. I tweet it out all the time. July Bob is the scariest baseball player of our generation, dude. Like it's absolutely insane. Just want to let everybody know Justin's throwing up the graphics for us. This is baseball reference. He's going to pull up some numbers for us, I believe, on Jazz, just so we have them. Um, if Bobby Dahlback makes it through 4 40-man moves, I mean, it's going to be unbelievable. I think Red Sox Twitter is just going to like collapse on itself, like absolutely collapse. So we talked about this team, this identity. Who's going to step in? Who's going to come in? Who's going to be the leaders of this clubhouse? What happens with Rafi? Let's just talk. I know I hate that, we kind of always find our way into an episode and unfortunately Xander's no longer here anymore. But we still have Rafi and we got to talk about him. Do we think that it may be time if we are unable to extend Rafi that we start exploring trades, Rob?
It's very scary with the Rafael Devers situation because being a Red Sox
Yeah.
fan and seeing all your homegrown talent leave. I mean, we've seen Mookie Betts get traded. We've seen Xander Bogaerts leave for San Diego. We've seen Benny get traded. We've seen a lot of stuff happening, and I just feel like a trade for Rafael Devers would be kind of like, I don't want to say it's imminent, but I don't think I think the Red Sox have to re-sign him. There's no way you can't just let this man slip. You can't let Rafael Devers leave. I mean, there's no way they have to get it done by spring. I think they get it done by spring training. I think the Red Sox get it done. I'm starting to turn into a pessimistic person because this leadership just screws us over a lot. And as a
And
fan base, it's hard to be like happy.
I'm going to put the tinfoil hat on for a second, okay? Because Manny Machado said that he's going to opt out, meaning there's going to be a hole at third base in San Diego. And we talked about this last week, I think, a little bit, or 2 weeks ago. Um, I'm also going to put the tinfoil hat on, and the conspiracy theory is that maybe the ownership and partnership is getting ready to sell because we do not have anyone on our roster that is locked up long term. Meaning that if John Henry and Fenway Sports Group do decide to sell the team, whatever potential buyer coming in isn't locked to really anyone. And unfortunately, that puts Devers in the worst position. I mean, as fans, we want him back. No one's. Here's the other thing too, and I tweeted this out, and it gained some friction. Like, it takes two to negotiate, right? Like, no one. We all just assume that if we put a blank check in front of Rafael Devers, that it's over, right? Like, oh, just give him a blank check, give him 12 years and 360 mil, and there's no way he says no, and this and that. Why? You just saw what the market did, right? Like, who has asked Rafael Devers, do you want, maybe this is something that when pitchers and catchers and everybody starts reporting at, I'm sure he's going to get asked a million times, during spring training, do you want to be a Boston Red Sox? Like, do you want to be here? And he's going to have to answer that, because for us, yes, it's fun for us to talk, Sox, and it's fun for us to go out and use our platforms to push whatever information that we're getting, and correct information at that. But I'm really big on the whole what makes you think that a blank check is just going to solve this issue, right? I mean,
Yeah,
what?
it really, like, even if a blank check it could solve the issue for him because he gets paid, but it doesn't solve the issue of like players getting traded and leaving. Like, the team chemistry is going to be a little bit different now. I mean, I see what they're doing here by signing a lot of former teammates. Like, Kike had former teammates now with Verdugo. Now he
Yeah,
has Kenley coming back, Justin Turner. So they're kind of trying to build like chemistry again. But it's just, I really I think a blank check could solve it for Rafi. Obviously, have him stay and be content. But they can't lie. Like, I mean, Chaim Bloom kind of didn't lie to Kike when he said he's building a better team, to a more
yeah,
competitive team this year. But I feel like you got to start with your young talent. If you lock up Rafi, I mean, you can't mess this up. This guy is, I mean, he's now the face of your franchise. I mean, we've had two players who are faces of the franchise. I mean, I keep saying bets, but they really were.
yeah.
They
They
were fan
were.
favorites. Bogarts, especially, we thought Bogarts was going to be the captain of the Boston Red Sox. Now he's a Padre, obviously, which is very sad. But this guy is your face of your franchise, and if you let him walk, who are you going to turn to be your face of the franchise? Trevor Story, who's been here for 2 years? No.
No, and that's the thing. There's real no face. There's real no identity. And as much as I love Rafael Devers, and he's still a young kid, right? Like, do you throw him into that leadership role when it comes to the clubhouse? Rafi's a very animated guy. You see him in the batter's box. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, those are all the things that we love about Rafael Devers, right? But here, this is, and I'm going to kind of like, flip to the pessimistic side. Let's talk about the trades for Rafael Devers, right? If you're going to trade Rafael Devers, I truly believe it needs to happen before the season. And this is why. If you go into the season and Rafael Devers is your third baseman, okay, and God forbid he gets hurt, or God forbid he does not play to the level that we're used to seeing him playing at. And all of a sudden, July rolls around, and now the market value, or the return value for Rafael Devers, is not as high as if you sell him during spring training, or if you trade him during spring training. Um, it just sucks to talk about, dude. I mean, Rob, it sucks. Talk to me. When would you, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about a possible situation. Um, if Rafael Devers is traded, when do you think it happens?
If I don't want to say if and when, because I don't think he gets traded.
Yeah, just if.
If he does get traded, I could see it happening around the trade deadline. I could see it
Okay.
happening even in, I don't think spring training. I think they give it a little bit more time. Let them, because I don't think he'll get hurt. I think he's going to show, like, be the normal Rafael Devers he always
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
hit the
yeah.
baseball well, show that he can get more value. Maybe the Red Sox mess around and they say, you know what, spring training last day, here's a contract for you. Do you want it? We're giving you the money. But if there is trade scenarios, one that I always see swirling around on Twitter calling up Steve Cohen and getting Brett Baty and some prospects
Yep.
from the Mets, or like there's so many things you could get prospects, major league talent for Rafael Devers. The Red Sox, if they were to trade him, they could ask for a haul. They could ask for a whole haul. They can go to the Pirates and be like, hey, give me Key Brian Hayes, give me Brian Reynolds. We'll take Brian Reynolds. I'll throw in Tanner Houck and Rafael Devers and a couple prospects. You give me Brian Reynolds and Key Brian Hayes or something. Who knows? Key Brian Hayes also signed an extension. Bobby Miller, I like Bobby Miller. But I don't want him to go to the Dodgers. I'm tired of seeing the Dodgers being a super team. I just want there to be like I want there to be some even playing ground. And they're gonna they're turning into the LA Red Sox. We're turning into the Boston Dodgers. It's like I mean, I would just love Rafi to be in Boston forever. I really would.
This is what's going to make me lose my mind about baseball. And I love baseball. Baseball is by far my favorite sport. Don't get me wrong. I love hockey. I love football. I love basketball. I love all the four major sports. But this is what drives me nuts. And I'm going to make it very freaking clear. Okay. The fact that there is not a hard cap, right, in Major League Baseball, the fact that the money isn't evenly distributed, right, amongst the teams. We have big market teams. We just saw what Steve Cohen did. We saw it. We saw what Steve Cohen did when
$806 million.
$806 million, man. And he has no problem spending that money. My issue is that money is then going to the small market teams. It's not regulated. It's not reinvested into their teams. It's not reinvested into their fans, their ballparks, their this and that. And it's a shame because I really believe the luxury tax is folding on itself and it's starting to show its true colors. And if I'm a major market team, right, like the Red Sox, there was an article in the Globe the other day, the millionaires tax in Massachusetts, that players may not want to come and play in Massachusetts because they're going to be taxed so high on their salary. I don't know politics. I'm not trying to make this a political discussion or anything like that. I'm not a genius. I'm just here talking baseball. But if I'm a high market team, okay, and I'm one of those major markets, why should I be penalized for investing in my team and my product and my money where there's no salary cap? And then I'm going to pay millions of dollars to these lower market teams that aren't going to do anything. Like to me, that is, dude, it's freaking mind blowing.
It's just, I don't know why they're raising I could see why they're raising the taxpayer money, because just like obviously not for like regular people, but obviously for millionaires, because you want to I mean, they're making a lot of money. You want to get that money back. It makes sense. A lot of like, especially in California, they have a high tax rate for millionaires.
Absolutely.
I mean, and they're making a lot of movies here as well in Boston, so it kind of makes sense. Tax the people, tax the millionaires, because then they make more movies here. So it kind of adds up because people have been making movies here. Because you see a lot of films, like when I walk by, I work in downtown Crossing, so when I walk by, I see them making films. So it makes sense that they're raising the millionaires' tax prices because a lot more films are being filmed here. They want to get the money that the city wants, the money that they're using our city to film. So I see that. And also sports players, obviously, they invest in the city. I mean, it just makes sense. As like, I don't like politics either, to be honest, or talking about it, because I'm not really a political guy. But I think that's the reason why they're taxing more people. But it does scare away a lot of players because they want to make as much money as they can.
Absolutely. They want to hold on to the money that they're making. They don't want to be given, the state or the feds or whatever the case is, more money than they want to have to. And once again, I mean, Boston Globe came out the article, obviously, of John Henry, and we just throw it right back on ownership. John Henry owns the Boston Globe. Fenway Sports Group obviously, owns the Red Sox and their other endeavors. And we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. Back to the Red Sox and this team as it is put together. Very interesting group of guys. If this thing clicks, and with the way that the schedule's set up, right? So let's talk about the schedule, the new Major League scheduling format. Everybody's going to play each other at least once, right? Which is going to take away from divisional games, right? So we could lose anywhere. I think it's between like 5 and 7 divisional games, depending on who the opponent is within the division and how the schedule is made up. So if you're telling me that the Red Sox, who for whatever reason can't beat anyone in the AL East unless it's in the playoffs, right? If you're telling me that if we're a well below 500 team against the AL East, but all of a sudden now we're starting to play some of the Marlins and the Diamondbacks and I get it. We still have to go and play the Mets and the Dodgers and this and that. But
Hmm.
even if we go 500 in those games, you gotta like your chances.
Hmm.
I mean, you have to.
The Red Sox, I also looked it up on StatMuse. Last year in 76 games, the Red Sox won 26 and 50. That's very below 500. That's a
Oh my
342 win
God.
percentage, and they had a batting average as well of 250. So they did not play good against the AL East
No,
teams, especially the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were our fathers this year. I'm gonna look this up
absolutely.
real quick and say Red Sox versus Blue Jays in 2022, and we're gonna
Oh, it was
see.
embarrassment, dude. It was an absolute
Against the Blue
embarrassment.
Jays, they were 3-16 in 19 games. They owned us
That's
this year. So pretty much, let's just say this is helpful for
what
us
was it?
this year.
340 win percentage against
Yeah,
the
against
AL East?
teams,
Oh
20,
my God.
50 in 76 games. It was brutal. Obviously getting to play other teams, obviously getting to play those Arizona Diamondbacks, like teams like the D-backs, teams like the Cubs owned us too this year, but that's besides the point. But
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
teams that are like in a process of rebuilding, like the Pirates, obviously like Marlins,
The
teams that are like
Pirates, the Marlins, the A's,
Cincinnati
like
Reds, teams that
the
are like
Cincinnati
as
Reds,
good.
the Royals,
It's
like,
gonna help us a lot. It's gonna help them a lot, especially with the Red Sox having like the offense is really the same pretty much with a couple of
yeah,
switches in between. But it's gonna help us a lot. Teams that are like rebuilding, obviously, it's gonna hurt like playing those big teams like the Dodgers. Obviously, only playing them once. Mookie's coming home, obviously, so that'd be fun. Fun fact: Mookie Betts just like comment on his Twitter, so he's
yeah,
still
yeah.
got love for the Boston fans deep down inside. But no, I think it'll be good to see us playing lower ball teams and hopefully winning. And I mean, if the Red Sox, the only way I could say this season's going to go really good is if we can flip that from 26 and 50 to 50 and 26 against AL teams. We need to play
Absolutely.
better against the AL East teams this year.
We have to. I'm with you 100% on that. You have to play well within your division. And then, I'm not going to throw it out there. We have so many more weeks. We have so many more episodes to do before we get into our in-season predictions and what we have. But you gotta like the Sox chances, man. If for whatever reason, if this band of misfits figure it out, you gotta like their chances. You have to.
Well,
I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
say 2013. If it's
I
another
know.
2013 vibe, I kind of like it. I mean, guys that you wouldn't even expect to be like, guys are gonna step up.
Yeah.
There's someone's got to step up as a leader. I think Chris Sale is a guy who has to be a leader. He's the longest serving Red Sox. He needs to step up and be a leader. And he always is a leader in the clubhouse. I mean, you see it in the 2018 World Series. He's yelling at people to pick it up on like the DVD.
Hmm.
They show the replays, but I feel like there's got to be that one guy that, I mean, you get. I think this team is just gonna be. It's gonna be an interesting watch this year. I don't think it's gonna be as bad as 2022. Nothing can get as bad as 2020,
No.
2022, or as bad as that 2012 team. There's gotta be this team's going to be interesting to watch. I think the Red Sox are going to go out there and they definitely will compete either for a wild card spot. I don't think they win the division. That's the Rays or that's
No.
the
No.
Blue
No. No.
Jays or the Yankees division to win,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, a wild card spot, the Red Sox, and now with it being 3 games and not a 1 game series, the Red Sox have a decent chance. I mean, obviously, like this year it just shows like the AL wildcard teams, the NL wildcard teams, teams that weren't expected to win ended up coming out and
Nowhere.
like winning, like the
Nowhere.
Padres beating the Mets that won 101 games in a 3 game
I.
series. That just goes to show you. And the Mets won the first game, so that just goes to show you right there that like, or the second game, but it just
My
goes to
whole
show you
thing.
underdog teams.
My whole thing is just get into the dance and we'll see what happens, right? Like get us to the dance. Let's figure this out. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's get to the dance, and then let's figure it out and let's see what happens. Um, all right, we covered Kluber, we covered Eovaldi, we covered possible trade scenarios, Pavetta, Hawk, what the starting pitching is going to look like. We talked about Rafa. Dude, we check all the boxes, dude. Every episode we check that. I even yelled about Sam Kennedy, so I know Justin's happy. We checked all the boxes. We did what we had to do. A little bit of a shorter episode, but that's okay. Want to bring you guys exactly what we can give you. I hope everybody had a good holiday, no matter what holiday you're celebrating. New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have New Year's
2023.
resolutions? Do people do that anymore? Do people do New Year's resolutions?
I always say I'm gonna do it, but I never do it. But a
I
New Year's
never do it,
resolution.
dude.
A New Year's resolution that would be good is just to get to more Red Sox games this year. I mean, I've been to 3 this
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
go to a lot
Yeah.
more, get to see them. I mean, going back, it's just getting back into baseball more in person, just getting to go to the games and have fun. I mean, 2023, I think a New Year's resolution. If you are watching this, Heim Bloom, ironically, or anybody in the Red Sox organization, our New Year's resolution is to be a winning baseball club this year, be a
That's it.
competitive baseball club this year. And the New Year's
Yeah.
resolution for us is to keep bringing you guys more content, and you never know, it could elevate. We could see some new stuff coming along. We got a lot of things in the works, so
We
don't be
we
surprised.
do we do we've been keeping it kind of low key, but we do have a lot of things. We have a lot of things in the work, and just once again, thank you all for the support. Podcast is available on all major platforms and featured on Wisdom. I always need to throw that out there. Featured on Wisdom, and Justin just said
Resolutions are
it's freaking
stupid. I agree.
yeah, it's freaking stupid New Year's resolutions, dude. I hate you know what the thing is? I'll set a New Year's resolution, right? Like maybe this will be my New Year's resolution. I will not bash Sam Kennedy. Do you know how many episodes we'll go through? Maybe two,
Not even one, I
right?
think.
Not even one. We may get 20 minutes into an episode, and this guy comes out in spring training and says something stupid, and I'm gonna lose my mind, dude. I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. But I will tell you, January 1st, my resolution to you guys, to the fans, to Rob, to Justin, I am going to try not to bash Sam Kennedy. I
We'll
will
keep you to it.
fail. I'll fail. I will fail almost immediately, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Sam Kennedy, if you're listening, I really don't hate you. You're a good dude. Just stop playing with us,
Stop being
man.
a yes man. Stop being a
Stop
yes
being a
man.
yes man. Stop being a yes man. Just tell us what's going on. That's all we want. We want you guys to be transparent. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you for listening.
Myself, guys.
Thank you for all your support. And here's to a happy and healthy new year. All right?
Happy New Year, guys. We'll catch you in 2023.
Yes, absolutely. Peace out.